Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Have you ever heard a song that made you stop and look beyond yourself? A song that made you feel small yet deeply loved? A song that reminded you that there is something greater than our worries, our fears, and even our struggles? For millions of Christians around the world, that song is "How Great Thou Art." It has been sung in small country churches and giant stadiums. It has been comforted people during wars, illnesses, and personal loss. It has united believers from different cultures, languages, and generations. But what makes this hymn so powerful? Why has it touched so many hearts for more than a century? Today, we're going to uncover the remarkable story behind one of the most beloved hymns ever written. This is the story of wonder, faith, and worship. This is the story of How Great Thou Art. The story begins far from America, far from famous churches, far from concert halls. It begins in Sweden in the late 19th century. The man at the center of this story was a Swedish pastor named Carl Boberg. One day, Boberg was walking home after attending church. The weather was beautiful, the sun was shining, and the birds were singing. Then suddenly, dark clouds gathered overhead. A violent storm erupted. Thunder crashed, lightning flashed. Strong winds swept across the landscape. For a moment, nature seemed wild and terrifying. But just as quickly as it came, the storm passed. The sky cleared. The sun returned. Birds began singing once again. Boberg stood there, amazed. He felt as if he had witnessed both the power and the beauty of God. That experience moved him so deeply that he wrote a poem. The poem began with words expressing awe at God's creation. He called it "O Stor God," meaning "O Great God." At the time, he had no idea these words would one day be sung by millions. The poem soon became a hymn. It spread throughout Sweden, then it crossed borders. Translations appeared in other languages. One translation became especially important. A Russian version carried the hymn further east. Years later, missionaries would discover the hymn and bring it to English-speaking audiences. This journey was slow. There was no internet. The hymn traveled from person to person, church to church, heart to heart. And with every translation, the message remained the same. God is great. God is glorious. And His creation points us toward Him. The hymn's journey reminds us of something beautiful. Great truths often travel quietly. They don't need marketing campaigns. They endure because they speak to something deep within the human soul. The next chapter belongs to a missionary named Stuart K. Hine. Hine encountered the hymn while serving in Eastern Europe. He was captivated by its message, but he didn't simply translate it, he adapted it. He expanded it. He wrote English verses that reflected both God's creation and God's salvation. The words we know today largely come from Stuart Hine's version. Listen to the opening thought. "O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made." These words invite us to look around, to notice the stars, the mountains, the oceans, the forests, the complexity of life itself. The hymn begins with creation. But it doesn't stop there. Because Christianity is not only about God's power, it is also about God's love. And that brings us to the heart of the hymn. The most moving verse may be the third verse. It says, "And when I think that God his Son not sparing sent him to die, I scarce can take it in." Think about those words. The hymn moves from creation to redemption, from the stars above to the cross. The message is simple yet profound. The God who created galaxies is the same God who loves humanity enough to save it. For Christians, this is the greatest story ever told. The Creator became the Savior. The one who made the universe came to rescue those He created. This truth has comforted countless people through grief, sickness, and loss. Why does this hymn continue to inspire millions? There are several reasons. First, it awakens wonder. Modern life is busy. We rush from task to task, but this hymn invites us to pause, to look at creation. Second, it speaks to every generation. Children understand its message. Adults appreciate its depth. older believers find comfort in its hope. Third, it balances majesty and intimacy. It presents a God who is infinitely powerful, yet deeply personal, a God who created the universe, yet knows each person by name. And finally, it points toward hope. The final verse looks ahead to Christ's return. The hymn gained enormous popularity through the ministry of evangelist Billy Graham. During his crusades, people heard the hymn sung before audiences of thousands. Its message resonated deeply. Many who attended those gatherings described the hymn as unforgettable. Soon, churches across America adopted it. Then churches around the world followed. It became a global anthem of worship. More than 100 years after it was written, "How Great Thou Art" continues to move hearts. Its message remains timeless. It reminds us to look beyond ourselves, to see beauty in creation, to remember God's love. Perhaps that is why millions continue to sing it. Not because it is old or famous, but because it speaks to something every human heart longs for: wonder, meaning, faith, and hope. The next time you hear the words, "Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee, how great thou art, how great thou art," take a moment to reflect. Look at the world around you. Look at the blessings in your life. And remember the truth that inspired a Swedish pastor long ago, a truth that still inspires millions today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe. May God bless you.